Welcome students. Today we are going to take lesson 5 from our social study, which is about our history. Before going to the chapter, let us learn what is a history or what is meant by history. Let me tell you something, students. Have you ever thought how people live in the past and what was their food habit? What type of clothes they used to wear, and what type of houses they lived in, and the houses were made of which material. So for all these answers, we can find all the answers by studying the history. The answer of history is that a history is the branch of social study that help us to study about the past. Therefore, history is the story of people who have lived in the past. Let's move on to our lessons. Here, you can clearly see it in the space provided. You are asking to draw a family tree, starting with your great-grandparents. First of all, in this space, you make your great-grandparents, your grandparents, till yours, okay? And you show me the work while submitting your assignments. So just as we all have our family past life, our India country also have a very rich and diverse history. So thousands years back, our history is broadly divided into three periods. They are the ancient period, the medieval period, and the modern period. Let's come to know what is historians. A historian is a person who writes and study about the life of the past or the story of the past. Okay, and those historians tells us about the Indus Valley civilization, which was developed on the river bank of Indus at around 1500 years ago. And this city was known as the Harappan civilization. Why it is called as the Harappan civilization? Because it is said that the Harappan was the first city to be discovered from this civilization. Later on, another important city was discovered, which was called the Mohenjo-daro. This Mohenjo-daro city was also discovered in this region itself. And this Indus Valley civilization is stretched from northwestern India till the Pakistan. Those people who have lived in the Indus Valley civilization built well-planned cities with important buildings such as the Great Bath. This Great Bath was built in Mohenjo-daro city, and the granary, which was built in the Harappa city. Materials such as shells, pottery, jewelry, which were found by the archaeologists, tells us about the people of the past. Students, do you know what is archaeologists? Who are archaeologists? Archaeologists are people who study cultures of the past and periods of history using old remains such as building and tools. Around 1500 BC, some people who were known as tribes came from Central Asia to India, and these people were called as Indo-Aryans. These Indo-Aryans were a nomadic tribe. Nomads, which means those people who travel from one place to another. And the name of the period which they settled in the Indian subcontinent is known as the Vedic Age, and it was known as the Vedic period. And during this Vedic age, these people they wrote 4 religious scriptures which were called as Vedas. So Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda were the four Vedas which are called the religious scriptures. However, the Mahabharata and Ramayana, these are also the two great epics which were written by these people during this Vedic age. Now, let's learn about some dynasties. Do you know what is dynasties? Who are called dynasties? Okay, let me tell you. A dynasty is a family whose members rule a country or region for a long period of time. Okay, so here the Mauryas are a dynasties who have ruled the India during this ancient period. As I told you, the dynasties are a family whose members rule a country or a particular region for a long period of time, isn't it? Let's learn about the names of those kings who have ruled over the India for a long period of time. The Mauryas, this family, they established the Mauryan dynasty in India around 321 BC with the help of his advisor Kautilya, who was also known as Chanakya. So this dynasties, these Mauryas, was established with a legendary king who was known as Chandragupta Maurya. The name of his kingdom was known as Magadha. After he left his throne, his son Bindusara took over the Mauryan Empire. It can be also called as Mauryan Empire, okay? And you might have heard about Ashoka. Ashoka का बारे में तो सुना ही होगा. Ashoka, he was the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya, and Ashoka was known as the most famous ruler